Da, 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 da. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
What's up, party people of the AACL? What's going on? What's happening? What's cracking? I'm just chilling like a motherfucking villain, getting ready for these fucking semifinals. That's what I'm saying. Welcome to Season 3 AACL TueNight, episode number 18. The guys will be here in a moment. But let me just tell you, this is only going to be an hour show. We're not going to go long like we've been doing the last couple of shows. The whole point of tonight is for us to just kind of kick back with you, bring everybody up to date on what's been going on each bracket, talk about the two games tonight. We'll do another show tomorrow night where we're going to add in a few more things since we'll have one less bracket to talk about tomorrow night. But before I introduce my normal panel, let me get over here and see. Oh my gosh, look at Frank Doom. Says first one in the AACL house. What's up, motherfuckers? Second was my BFF Stream Elements, and even though Yogi claimed to be second, technically he's third. He said no Stream Elements. Then Justin Reside and Chef Moose. Chef Moose, what's up, bro? I'm glad to see your regular normal name. Ray is watching. I don't know why he's not in the booth yet. Twin Screw. Chess Alert. I don't know if that's Chester Chess. I'm assuming. Pauly Truth. What's up, Pauly Truth? Saeed is here with us and a few extras. I'm assuming it's a little early, so we'll have some people pour in here in a moment. But good to see everybody. Let me check what's going on in the AACL server. Something's going on. Oh, somebody's blowing me up. Who's blowing me up? Why are you blowing me up? Let me introduce the crew. I'm gonna introduce it backwards. Usually I start with Ray. I'm gonna start with Keith this time. Special K is in the house. Keith, what's going on, bro? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm kind of disappointed that I'm not gonna be able to be at the show tomorrow night, but making up for it tonight.
You're not gonna miss a lot tomorrow night. We're gonna go over some stuff as Justin Reside and Andy Beaverhausen. Anastasia Beaverhausen, what's up? Good to see you in the chat. And I think, as a matter of fact, it's going to be so short tomorrow, Keith. I might actually kick it off at 7:30 and just do a half-hour show. It's not going to be a big deal, so you're not going to miss much. No big deal. And then Yogi is here as well. Yogi Bar in his house. Yogi, what's going on, bro? You thought you were second in the chat. You were third. You can't beat Stream Elements, bro.
Doom did.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Well, you could do like Crazy Canuck and just like camp out here and leave your shit on all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
That could happen as well.
Since Ray's not here, you're not moving me to his seat, are you? Because that chair is so stained. I'd rather just stay in my chair.
Bro. I would never sit in a seat after him.
No.
But I'm sure he will be here soon, I hope. I see that he's in the chat. I'm not sure why he's not in the booth. So
He's dealing with the sticky note girl that I'm calling her.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, you know what? Then we could have story time again, even though we haven't had story time for a while.
That's right.
I don't have story time tonight either, for some reason. I don't know. Do you guys have any good stories that we could kick the night off with? Anything happened since Tuesday?
I have a Halloween costume one, but I was kind of waiting until later. I don't know when to break it out.
Oh well, we're gonna do one next Tuesday.
Okay, I'll save it for
before
that.
before the two championship games. So that would be a good time for that, I think.
Yeah, I'll save it for that.
I don't know, Keith. You got anything exciting? Any stories before we get into AACL shit?
And my life is pretty boring, so not really.
Yeah, dude. You know what sucks is that ever since I've been home from all my trips, my life has been pretty boring too.
Yeah.
I've literally, it's been almost 365 AACL coming down the stretch, doing the last few weeks of the season and all these playoffs and bowl games and stuff. I'm actually looking forward to the break, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was thinking you just turn the Xbox on and run the games. I didn't know there was a lot of work involved.
Oh my God, bro. This is like a full-time fucking job for me, I swear to God.
I hear you.
I don't know. Well, I don't see anybody else jumping in the chat. It says we've got more numbers, but I don't see any more names, so I don't know what that means. But let me go in here real quick. Oh, I already said Justin Reside and Annie. Yeah, so I think that's about it. All right, folks, we're gonna go. We gave Ray 9 minutes. That's enough. So we're gonna talk about a few things here. We're gonna break down each of the brackets, and then after the brackets, we're gonna talk about tonight's matchups, and we'll check the pick'ems and we'll give our picks as well. But the biggest thing here that I want to start off with, Yogi, and I'll start with you, as you look at this bracket. It was 8 teams in the playoff, 8 teams in the TBT. You were the 8th team in. You beat Iowa in the play-in game to get in there. But now we've had a first round. We've had the quarterfinals already. So before we actually talk about the semifinals, were there any surprises for you in the quarterfinals? They were all blowouts except for one. Technically they were all blowouts. One of them didn't quite feel like a blowout, but it was. And all of the upper seeds won except for one. So is this kind of what you expected, or did you expect some upsets? Did you expect closer games? How did things differ from what you actually expected?
Coming into it, like we were hot. We'd won 6 in a row, but I think we used everything, every good luck charm, everything we could possibly use to get to where we were. So we kind of ran out of gas. The amazing thing was how similar all 4 games were in the scores and the flow of the games. They were amazingly even to each other as they were all blowouts. I think you just had a scenario here where the cream rose to the top. Tennessee and Alabama, I knew it was going to be a tough game, and I figured it would come down to the end, but Tennessee found a way to make that one a blowout too. So you just pretty much have the cream rose to the top, and you have your best 4 teams going into the semifinals.
Yeah, and when you say best 4 teams, normally you would think 1, 2, 3, 4, but in this case it's 1, 2, 6, 4.
Yeah.
I think before I get to Keith and ask him some of the same questions, as you think back on the games, were there any performances, any athletes, any quarterbacks, running backs, defensive players, anybody that's really stood out so far to be like, you know what, this is somebody we need to watch out for going forward here as we get down to the final 8 teams?
Well, and trying to get ready to play Penn State, what was blatantly obvious is their defensive secondary is just stellar.
Yeah, it's stupid, right?
There's no holes. Every time you throw the ball, you better be willing to lose it because they're that good. And the other thing that stood out for me was the disco balls.
I was wondering who was going to bring that up.
Oh, of course I will. That was amazing. I don't know if you were on air when you said disco balls.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. And then that whole drive was the Dave Axis drive. I was like, you can't plan that. You can't make that a part of the game. It just happened. It was great.
That was actually really funny. I should have said it like 6 times in a row instead of just 3. Maybe we would have scored a touchdown on that drive. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, Keith, moving on to you. Same first question that I asked Yogi. As you're looking at the bracket, what did you expect? Did you expect some closer games? Did you expect blowouts? Did you expect only one upset? What were your expectations going into the quarterfinals versus what you actually saw?
Well, I think I'll start with that I went 4 for 4 in pick'ems here.
Oh, here we go.
Lord.
So I guess the final results was pretty much what I expected, but the scores was definitely not. I figured Virginia Tech would play Penn State close. I figured that Tennessee Alabama would be a closer game than it was, although I thought that Tennessee was more balanced. I was confident in our guys against Kansas, but of course teams are very different than when we played in week 2. So, who knows? UNLV, of course, is very solid. They have good players pretty much everywhere you look. And so I think out of all of the games, that was probably the game that I figured had the most potential to be a blowout. But 48-21, and it did not feel that close. That was not what I expected. So I guess to me, in a sense, some of it was expected, some of it wasn't. If you want a couple standout players from me, how about Brooke not throwing a pick?
Yes. Thank God.
That is the second time this season that Brooke has not thrown a pick in a game. Which, that's crazy to think that we won 7 in a row and only one of those games she didn't throw a pick. But you got to do what you got to do. That offense was very efficient. I think the other thing for Tennessee, Rodney Dangerfield is playing some good ball right now. I've said for a couple weeks that the rate at which they use Flash Freddy is criminal because he is so much better than the 20 touches a game or something that he gets, because he should get 20 to 25 carries and 6-7 receptions rather than 15 carries or whatever he got the other night, and they still ran Alabama out of that stadium. So there's definitely a lot of potential there. I think both of these matchups are going to be pretty good.
He has risen, baby girl.
Oh my God! Look who is here, Ray Bashan, showing up to the show. What's up, buddy?
Hey, sorry, I got caught up by the train. No, I totally forgot we were doing a TueNight show because it's Thursday, and I was just like, oh, it's just football today. I'm like, oh shit, no, it's not.
I even said, well, when I went through the shout outs, I was like, oh, Ray Bashan's in the chat. Not sure why he's not in the fucking booth.
Oh, because I still have the stream up from last night on my other monitor.
Oh, nice. Well, let me catch you up to speed. We did some introductions. We talked to the chat. I went to Yogi and Keith on 2 questions, so I'll let you answer both questions. First question was, as you see the graphic up on the screen, what were your expectations going into the quarterfinal, and were they different from what we saw? Were you expecting all 4 being blowouts? Were you expecting only one upset like we got? Because for me personally, I was expecting probably 1 or 2, at least 1, maybe 2 upsets. I was expecting much closer games. This bracket has turned out nothing like I thought it would. What were your thoughts going into it versus what actually happened? And let me just say real quick, too, also, Clams and Churchill in the chat. Good to see you guys. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Clam's fucking calling me out in chat, apparently.
He was running a train on me. Really? You know what a train is, right?
Yeah, she knows what a train is.
Who else is at your house?
Yeah. Connie's there.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Sniper, stop sniping. All right.
Gunny, don't talk during transition.
Oh, fuck. Here we go already.
Going based off I joined in and everything just goes to shit.
Oh, of course.
Going based off of the quarterfinals, it's not really. Most of these aren't really surprising. The only one that is surprising to me is probably the Nebraska-Kansas game. I thought that was going to be a lot closer than what everybody else was thinking. Probably maybe even 1 point, probably double overtime. But everything else just seems like it fits so well with how it went. Penn State dominating. It was either going to be Virginia Tech, Iowa. We didn't care who it was. Penn State was automatically just going to dump them off at the next fucking train stop. Alabama, Tennessee. Alabama hasn't really shown up since the past few weeks, obviously, so it was due time for them to just sit there and turn down and be like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and go to sleep, boys. And then Florida, UNLV, again, once again, Florida not really showing as much as they're worth in the final few weeks of the regular season, so it's not a surprise that the number 2 team in this damn entire league just utterly fucking blew them away and sent them home packing to their mama.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you on one of these. There's no way you expected Tennessee to blow out Alabama. Maybe you expected them to win, but I would expect that would be a close game. You did not expect the 6th seed to blow out the 3rd seed, did you?
Oh, yeah, I did. Dave, have you not heard me this entire goddamn season most of the time? I've sat here and said, roll, Tears, roll, every single time I went against Alabama.
You got on Alabama's tip for a few weeks, too, though, bro.
And I sung Rocky Top when I was choosing them on the TueNight show. So what do you expect me not to think?
Well, winning is one thing, but blowing out a team is something completely different.
Oh, man, fuck, Alabama blew themselves out. Come on.
Whoa, Alabama blew themselves.
Yeah. They took a break from their own sisters.
Hey, dude, hold on. We don't have a soundboard, but that deserves a. Okay, well, that being said, the second question I asked Yogi and Special K over there was, who has stood out in those first 4 games, what type of quarterback, whatever, running back, defender, receiver, whatever, who has stood out as like this is the person you're going to have to watch for the rest of this tournament?
Oh, God, just trying to think back and everything. I mean, you got Guy Clausen back there being an absolute monster for Penn State. You got Day Haytney on the damn defensive side too. Out of these last 4 teams, Brooke, you got Pauly Truth, you have Speedy Gonzalez. This is me.
Brooke not throwing interceptions. Keith brought up, which was pretty key.
Oh, fucking surprising! Holy shit! That's like me throwing 5 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. What the hell?
Let's not get carried away.
We're in the upside. That's exactly what happened this week, Dave. What the fuck you mean? We're in the upside down world, folks.
We are.
Honestly, you leave it up to me. You have to keep watching Fillmore Slim on that UNLV offensive line. Fillmore Slim is not a force to be reckoned with, and he keeps showing it week in and week out, no matter what happens.
Yeah, he's. I think he's going to be up for probably Offensive Player of the Year, maybe even the Rodney Dangerfield Award. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. Maybe Halfback of the Year.
If there is a halfbacks that deserve it, it's got to be between Fillmore Slim or Bogey Bar.
Yeah, that's another good point. All right, now that we've got everybody in the box, hey-o, I'm not talking to you, Clams. Hey, let's move on and kind of similar questions here for the TBT, the Toilet Bowl tournament. As you go down the quarterfinals, Syracuse and Ohio State, 6-9 versus 5-10. Expected a close game. You know, it was a 7-point game. Expected that. Auburn, Missouri, same situation. Notre Dame taking care of Miami pretty decently right after the week where Miami won. And then I think the shocker, and Keith, I'll start with you on this. I think the shocker of this entire, if you count the 4 games we just talked about plus these 4 games, the entire shocker is LSU showing the fuck up again, and where the fuck have they been for the last 6 weeks? What are your thoughts on this quarterfinal in the TBT?
I would definitely agree with you that the big shocker was LSU beating Iowa. I figured that it would come down to what version of Iowa shows up in that game, and clearly it was the version of Iowa that just lays an egg against a team like they did half the season. The other shocker to me was Miami's defense just laying an egg after all those solid performances they've had the last 5-6 weeks. I did not expect that, especially given what Ray's been doing the last few weeks. Sorry, Ray. But
Ray played solid. Ray played super solid.
He did, yeah.
I took drugs. I mean, I didn't take drugs.
Hey, he was back to being the dot machine and not the Todd machine.
Hey-o.
But yeah, I mean, it seemed like a lot of these matchups were. It was a lot of the same version of all of these teams that we saw in the middle of the season, kind of. I feel like some of these games aren't necessarily indicative of how these teams ended the season. Like, for example, Ohio State, they were really struggling to end the season. Right. They put up a decently solid performance against Syracuse. Well, they had to come back, though, was the problem, right? They ran out of gas. Yep. Yeah, Syracuse was doing pretty good first half of the season, and sure enough, they were playing pretty well. I mean, of course, you got Auburn ducking out of the playoffs.
I'm shocked by that. I thought they were going to win that game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Mizzou's been kind of a roller coaster to end the season. Obviously, they were riding high after rivalry week. There was a little bit of a dip, you could say, but they still had a pretty solid performance. So I don't know. To me, just I don't know. None of these results are super surprising, except for of course LSU just beating the shit out of Iowa.
Yogi, I think we all agree on the LSU thing. Do you agree?
No, we don't.
Oh, you don't? Well, go ahead. I won't even ask my follow-up question.
I have a completely different take on that game.
Let's bring it, Yogi.
I try to put myself in Iowa spot where you're playing in the shit or get off the pot game. You know, you got a chance to get into the championship tournament and you lose.
Yeah.
And you play the next night. And the motivation to have your team all geared up and ready to go in a toilet bowl was probably not there. So I was zero surprised with LSU winning that game. They were due.
Well, they were due though for like 5 fucking weeks or 6 weeks
Yeah.
before that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, eventually, I guess eventually that
Caught up.
it's gonna come home, I guess. But
Yep.
I think what's your take on the whole Auburn situation? Missouri beat Auburn twice and beat LSU, so they swept not only did they sweep the Tiger Bowl, but they took care of another Tiger in the playoffs. Is Missouri just on that good upswing? Do you think Auburn had already just checked out? Because I thought Auburn was going to be Auburn, be like, you know what, we've had a fucked up season, but let's at least win this tournament, and they didn't.
Roar. They're 4-0 in Tiger Bowls. I think Missouri got hot at the right time, and they incorporated Marco has been doing a lot of running, been getting 100 yards rushing a game too. I think that has helped them out immensely.
Marco.
No, he means Jared Lorenzo.
I meant Jared. I said
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow. Black and yellow. Black and yellow.
I still had my head on the Iowa game.
That Russell Wilson's been looking very fucking good throughout this tournament.
Hey,
Sit in your stained chair and stifle it.
stop. Hey, that's enough about Jim Plunkett. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think Missouri just peaked at the right time for this tournament.
All right, Ray, you've got the final word on this, and I'm going to ask one more question about this bracket, and then we'll move on to some other stuff. But LSU and Auburn, I think Notre Dame beating Miami after just losing to them could be a little bit of a surprise. Nobody's really talking about this Syracuse-Ohio State game. Ohio State did make it look like a close game, come back late, but Syracuse dominated that game. Was that a surprise to you? And then tell me what else might have stood out for you personally.
I'll tell you what's more of a surprise. Nate Hall didn't go down with an injury at all during that damn game.
Dude, what's going on with these playoffs? No interceptions for Brooke. Nate doesn't go down with an injury. You fucking actually ran the correct way. What the fuck?
No, hold on. I ran the wrong way, but I still gained positive yards.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on.
I told you, we're in the upside down world now, apparently.
I will just say this. The AAC world has definitely tilted on its axis.
I mean, Taz getting injured in that game, but they were already up big. But by the time Taz got injured, Ohio State lost all their momentum because they leaned too heavy on Ryan Davis in the second quarter, which caused him to get injured for the rest of the game and apparently for the rest of the season. I'm not surprised that Syracuse beat Ohio State, honestly. Ohio State's been on that low decline. Like we've said many times, they've had that high in the middle of the season. And then just for some reason, down near like the last few 4, maybe 5 weeks, Ohio State just wasn't playing like Ohio State should anymore. I mean, hell, they just got blown out week 15 against fucking Penn State. It's like they didn't even fucking decide to come off the bus, Dave.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that I'm surprised that Syracuse won. I'm just surprised in the fashion that they won. It was pure domination until the fourth quarter.
I mean, sometimes you get a good fucking glass of orange juice, sometimes without pulp or with, I don't know. I guess they just drank it with pulp and that gave them the extra fucking strength.
Whoa, keep that. That's TMI, buddy, but go ahead.
Syracuse, hats off to you. You're sitting here proving everybody wrong, but you got a huge matchup coming up this week in the Mr. Carpal Tunnel Jerk-Off Kid Bowl. I wish the kid wasn't at the end there.
Well, I mean, he's kind of like a kid to us, so whatever.
All right. Well, Syracuse has a huge matchup going against the 4-0, the top Tiger King Missouri Tigers.
I guess we could change it to the Mr. Carpal Tunnel Jerk-Off, not quite an adult, but also not a kid anymore bowl.
Yeah, but keep it in perspective. 30 years old is a kid to us.
That's true. And how old are you, Special K?
23.
Yeah,
he's a kid.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, that's an infant over there. What the fuck? He's 4 years older. He's an infant.
I was gonna say,
Oh
you're like
God.
28 or something.
That's funny. All right, last round of questions, Keith. Back to you. Same thing I asked on the other bracket. Any player stand out? Is it Taz? Is it Lorenzen? Is it Ray? Is it AACL tear, for God's sake? Who knows? Whoever it is. But who stood out for you in this quarterfinal TBT round?
I think the two for me, honestly, the entire LSU team, really, because this game was a complete 180 of how they've been playing. the last 5-6 weeks. You know, they've been struggling on offense a little more. The points per game has been roughly the same as before Brute Bandit left, but their defense was really falling off a cliff, and they got back on track because I think actually no, I got confused with the shitter get off the pot bowl. But yeah, I mean they played a really good game, and they're potentially primed to make a run. Who knows? The other standout player for me, honestly, was probably Ray. Just because I thought Miami's defense was going to come to play, and evidently they didn't. I figured that there was a chance that it would be a high-scoring game like it was, since Miami has struggled on defense throughout this season. They have looked better recently, but they're still struggling. But yeah, Ray came to play. You know, like I said, he was the dot machine, not the Todd machine.
Yeah. Yogi, who stood up for you here in the quarterfinal of the TBT tournament?
Kaz was a big standout for me. I think he had a tremendous game, 200-plus yards passing, and he had I don't remember how many he had exactly, but he was
70-something rushing, I think, too, yeah.
Yeah, but you take away the sacks, and he was over 100 rushing, too.
Yeah.
So, you know, and what all four of these teams that won proved is when your offense controls that ball, your defense plays so much better. Like with LSU, when their defense, when they lost that running back, they lost that ball control and keeping their defense fresh. They were on the field more, and there was more room and opportunities to fail. And then they controlled that game and kept that defense fresh, and they played much better. Yeah,
I think you made that similar argument the other night, and I think that you're right. I think that LSU showed that if their defense can take care of business, or I'm sorry, if their offense can take care of business and not just go 3 and out all the time with their new running back, that the defense can play a lot better, and they did. It looks like Crazy Canuck and Boomberry have joined us. Good to see you guys. Ray, you got the last word on this. You know, I don't disagree with any of these so far, but has there been anybody else different from what they said that stood out for you here in this quarterfinal?
Okay, so I don't have to jerk off my own horn, apparently.
No, or you don't have to jerk off Mr. Carpal Tunnel.
Hey, no. or the train.
All right, well, if I'm going to jerk off anybody, I'm going to jerk off Larry Ballin. We've discredited that man throughout the entire last few weeks of the regular season.
He kind of deserved it.
Yeah. I mean, he did kind of deserve it, but also we also put all the blame on him for Brute Bandit up and leaving LSU. He took a negative thing, and everybody in here thought that LSU was going to be a first-round exit in the I'll be right back, I'm going to go downstairs bowl.
Yep.
And they fucking destroyed a Marco Swift, Jaden Swift tandem of the Iowa Hawkeyes, who I will say they did put up a good fight against Virginia Tech, but it's just that second half they just blew it out of the fucking water. This Iowa team throughout that entire game, they didn't even show the fuck up at all. It was just all LSU, and it seems like Larry Ballin has finally found his arm once again to be able to throw that ball down the field and hit his receivers in stride to get back into that end zone. I will say I'm a little bit happy to see that LSU beat Iowa, because it's a little bit less stressful on me now to face LSU than it was for Iowa.
Well, except that, you know, I don't know if you want to face an LSU team that just scored 48 points.
Do they want to face a team that just scored 52?
We're not talking about them. We're not talking about you. We're talking about them. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. I think Iowa. Well, I don't. You know, I guess it's hit and miss. Because do you want the roller coaster Iowa team, or do you want the LSU team that lost 6 in a row but now fucking just crushed Iowa? It seems to me
It comes down to which team can do it 2 in a row.
Well, Iowa has shown that they cannot do 2 in a row. I'm
talking about LSU and Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh, well, that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
I don't think we ever went back to back this season.
You were. I don't even know if Iowa did, to be honest with you. Right? I mean, it seems to me
we're on like a 2-3 win streak.
I don't know, man.
Iowa won back-to-back in weeks 9 and 10.
Okay.
Biff Markham in the chat. Biff, good to see you, buddy.
Also, shout out to Roy Kent over there in the goals, getting traded from Tennessee to Copenhagen.
Later, bro.
He's going to the champions.
All right, so let's do this now. Let's move on. Let's move on to talking about the 2 games that are going to come up here in about 20 Or no, I'm sorry. In a 56 minutes, is that what it says? Mr. Carpal Tunnel Jerkoff Kid Bowl. Now, we all know this is Special K. He's got back-to-back bowl games. He had a bowl game last night, the last one. He's got the first one tonight. The Missouri Tigers, 7-9 overall. Also, Syracuse, 7-9 overall. They met way back in week 2. Oh, that's supposed to say 42-40. I don't know what the fuck it says.
I was gonna
20.
say
42-40. Don't read the fucking thing. I'll fix it before we go on here. What the fuck? How the fuck did I get 20?
you had too much wine. That's why.
I'm actually drinking wine right now, but I wasn't drinking wine when I made this.
He just thought 20 was a great number.
I mean, it's not a terrible number. So yeah, there's that. So exactly, Justin. 220, 221, 420, 421, whatever. Anyway, 42-40 was the score way back in week 2. Look at the interesting stats. Jared and Taz within 20 total yards of each other and exactly 5 total touchdowns for both of them. What a great game on a 2-point game. Carlton Rhodes led the defense there. Missouri 11 tackles, a tackle for loss and interception. And Bob Funk 10 tackles, and they were all solo tackles. He was, you might have to steal one. Oh, the 420, 421. I think that might be the new thing now. I think we're done saying 220, 221.
Plans is so far behind in the kitchen. She just heard your comment about saying you weren't drinking wine. She said, that's your problem. You weren't drinking wine.
Well, I also was doing this at like noon today. You know, I'm not an alcoholic yet. So here's what I see, and before we talk about, you know, who's favored and this and that, and give your opinions, let me also let the three of you know, and everybody listening, AACL Nation in the AACL Pick'ems has chosen Missouri. Now remember, they played a neutral field. That will be, I'll let you guys know at kickoff. Syracuse is the home team, so I don't know if there's much benefit to being a home team on a neutral field, but whatever. I want you to have all the information. All of that being said, Missouri almost doubled up Syracuse 30-17, which I'm a little surprised about. Ray, are you surprised by that, number one? And number two, what's your take on this game, and who do you think is going to win?
I'm a little surprised by it, but a little not, because throughout this season, I've been known as the Syracuse hater. I've been wanting to see those oranges get squished and into the glass so I can just drink it up and tell them to go fuck themselves as I piss them out of my system.
Syracuse football sucks.
And I've also owned that soundboard for that as well, and I've also wanted to change it to say Hurricane football sucks, which would have been fucking great for me to say as soon as we beat them last week. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me thinking of this now?
What is wrong with you, Ray? What is wrong with you? I don't even have that. Do I have the soundboard? What is wrong with you?
Are you kidding me? Or is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, what is wrong with you? I don't have that.
I don't know where it is either.
Well,
I don't
sucks.
run the soundboard
Anyway,
as much.
Yeah,
But
anyway.
anyways, I'm a little surprised because everybody should be a little surprised by my pick here. Knowing me, I don't really like any of these two teams, honestly. I'm not a real big fan of Mizzou. I'm a huge hater of the Syracuse Orange. Making me choose this is like making me choose between do I want AIDS or do I want
or do you want or anal cancer? Yeah.
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, it's probably it's just my ex-wife on both sides anyway. So I'm just like, fuck. Well, seppuku.
No, that's hemorrhoids. That's hemorrhoids.
I almost said something I probably would have been yelled at. Anyways, I had to make a choice. I had to, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Syracuse. I had to make a choice, and that's because my choice for this week, I'm going with the fucking Oranges.
What? No way. What?
They'll lose now.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna curse him.
That's why I said sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, what?
Wow.
You what? You what?
I'm so. I don't even know what to say right now.
End of
I'm
show.
sorry.
Mic drop.
Listen, Taz looks great. The offense looks great. The defense has a little bit of pieces to fix up here and there, but I feel like they can get it done against Jared Lorenzen and that Mizzou offense.
I'm just gonna move on. Yogi, help me with this.
I can't even hardly speak. I'm so shocked. But I can see this. If you were to sim this game 10 times, I think you get 10 different scenarios to end the game. It could be blowouts either way. It could be
One of them
close
an
games.
earthquake.
It could be overtime. Well, earthquake was when you said you were picking Syracuse. That was
I've opened up the pits of hell.
Yeah, you have.
yeah. That was Revelations chapter 14, I think. I think the problem
He's got a down chapter and verse for your ass.
Yeah, when you go into a game scheming against Syracuse, I know we can't put it in there, but you see it a lot of times. The linebackers will spy on that quarterback when it's a running quarterback. You almost have to do that against Taz because of his running. But when you do that, you open up those long passes that he throws. And I think that's the dilemma of this game. I think in 6 of those scenarios, Syracuse wins. So I'm going to have to go with Syracuse.
Holy shit. Now listen, I'm not shocked that people are choosing Syracuse because I think Syracuse is going to win as well. But first of all, Ray, just picking them to begin with, it was a fucking shocker. And now we are 1 vote away from Syracuse being the unanimous choice. Keith, are you going to really fuck with our night, or are you going to bring us back on track? I don't even know what to say right now.
He's going to put stats into this.
Well, yeah, of course I am, Ray. You know me.
Get ready for 20 minutes, folks.
We've got. We only have 20 minutes left of the show.
Right. I am bringing it back on track. Syracuse is a huge roller coaster team. I think part of that you can attribute to their play style, since Taz likes to take off a lot of times, and he can rack up sacks real quick. Yeah, this is an interesting matchup because both these teams kind of struggle defensively. They're very up and down. They're pretty similar, but obviously on offense they're wildly different. I think the big difference here was something that Yogi mentioned earlier, which is that Lorenzen has been running the ball recently. I just randomly looked. He has something like 80% of his rushing yards on the season have come in the last third of the season, which I think was around when they switched playbooks to the Mizzou playbook, sometime around then. I don't know. But that has definitely added another layer. They've been playing some good ball on offense. I think more times than not, if you have a solid offensive game, there's only so much that Syracuse can do. That would be my expectation, would be Syracuse scores somewhere in the, I'll say 27 to 34 range, and Mizzou probably scores anywhere from the 38 to 49 range, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You gonna
Just
Dave cutting at the end. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, Missouri's getting no fucking love, man. I'm just like,
I just said they're gonna win by 10.
No, I know, but listen, I'm still on the other thing. Listen, I get that. I'm like, yeah, because it's going against everything else I just heard, and yeah, okay. This is just really kind of fucked me up a little bit. All right.
I guess you know what I gotta say about Keith's pick.
What? Syracuse football sucks. Yeah. I will do this.
Of course.
Watch this. Hold on. I got something. You guys watching the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. How about some Band-Aids?
I think it would have been great if you actually got like a PNG of a fucking
Oh,
Band-Aid.
if I
and
had
just-
time. I was trying to do stuff, but you guys kept fucking me up with the Syracuse shit. Yeah.
Yeah, blame us.
Okay, so I will say this. I agree with everything that Keith said except for the end. I think Jared Lorenzen has played great. I forgot to mention that Shiloh Banks in this game back in week 2 had like 119 yards rushing or 118 yards rushing, something like that. And I think one of the receivers had over 100 yards receiving, where I don't think Syracuse had a 100-yard rusher or a 100-yard receiver. So I would say that the edge, to be honest with you, I think offensively probably goes to Mizzou. The wild card factor here really is Taz Von Wolfswinkel, because he is one of the few people in this league that can take a team on their back and just will it to win and just fucking do what he wants to do as long as he doesn't get hurt. Both these quarterbacks have been hurt a few times, so that also comes into play. But when it comes to like tight end play and running back play and all those kind of things, I think Missouri has the edge, and I wouldn't be surprised if Missouri wins. I did pick Syracuse though, in a very close battle to move on, and that is my personal take on that. Going to the last game of the night tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, Notre Dame and LSU. The Michaela's a little bored though. Bowl. It doesn't flow off the tongue, but you know. Hold on. Oh, do I have the?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Thank
I'm just a little
you.
bored, though.
Thank you.
I was looking forward to.
Yeah, Michaela's a little bored though, Bull. Notre Dame coming in 5-11, LSU 8-8. LSU dominated this. I dug a little deep into the archives on this one, and you better fucking have a much better game plan this week, Ray, is all I'm saying. This is the second time these two teams have ever played. They've only played this season. Same thing with Missouri and Syracuse, the previous game. Here's how bad things were for Notre Dame. They only had 6 points. Their kicker was obviously offensive player of the game because he had 2 field goals, and that was all the offense they had. Here's the interesting thing, though, and I'm actually going to I'll go backwards on this one. I'll start with Keith. Keith, Brute Bandit, 294 yards rushing and 2 TDs, so they dominated. But there is no more Brute Bandit, so that's going to be a factor. On the defensive side for Notre Dame, Carter with 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, assisted tackle, and a sack. Great game. And then Dylan Ux, 12 tackles and tackle for loss for LSU. But my question to you, and before you give us your pick and why, Keith, is this is a whole different LSU team, and there is no Brute Bandit. And is that going to be a difference enough for Notre Dame to pull this out?
You know, it's a tough call. I think something else that's worth mentioning here is that Notre Dame has lost a couple of guys. They lost Eric Battle. They lost Tyrion James. So
LSU also lost a wide receiver, I believe.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm not totally sure if he had done a whole lot, considering that
he was wide receiver 3, but I don't remember who.
Right.
I don't even remember his name at this point.
Well, they run that I call it an enhanced service academy playbook.
Yeah,
basically is what it. I mean, because that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
This is a tough call to me. It really is, just because both these teams in their last game. To me, it was not necessarily what I expected, and so trying to get a read on either of these teams right now, I think, is really tough.
Well, let me ask you this: if this had taken place around the middle of the season when LSU was hot and Notre Dame was Notre Dame, it'd be a no-brainer, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. The way that LSU has gone since then, and now Notre Dame kind of looking like they're back on track, makes it almost impossible to call this game.
Well, yeah, I mean, both these teams were on a slide towards the end of the season, and the thing is, LSU never really got back on track until last game. Last game was the only time that they've shown life in the second half of the season, pretty much. To me, I know that, of course, with their last matchup against Iowa, I was saying that it depends what version of Iowa shows up. The one player that you can say the one player in Notre Dame that you can have a similar argument towards is, of course, Ray, because who knows how many picks he's going to throw. Right. The thing for me, I kind of feel like LSU's offense may have, you could say, blown their load last game.
They shot their load already?
Yeah, I kind of feel like they were due for one solid performance the rest of this year, and I kind of feel like last night was that performance. So to me, I think Notre Dame is probably going to pull it out. I think their offense is going to overpower this defense. I think the defense might struggle a little bit, so I'm going Irish. You're welcome, Ray.
Okay. Yogi, I think Keith has told us before stories about LSU's defense. Actually, Keith, where's the LSU defensively now? Do you know off the top of your head?
Right. So right now, throughout the course of the season, they were the number one overall defense, even with them struggling.
Okay.
But that was because they were so good in the first half of the season compared to everyone else. They basically lapped the field in the first half of the season defensively, and the second half they came back to earth.
Okay. So, Yogi, knowing that, knowing what we know about their slide, knowing what we know about Notre Dame, Ray's issues with picks, trying to be the new blue, old pink Lisa.
Hold on, check that. They're number 3.
So they're still up there, but a lot of that's riding from the first half of the season, right?
Yes.
Okay. All that being said, Yogi. Oh, I see Gunny in the chat now. Gunny, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Let me see if anybody else jumped in here real quick. I think I've shouted out everybody that I see. Yeah,
PJ Truth always been here?
Yeah, I did early. Yeah, he was here at the very beginning. He actually put in the chat. He's like, "Where the fuck is Ray?" So Yogi, all of that being said, what's your take on this Notre Dame LSU game that seems to be very confusing to most of us?
It's the toughest game to call of all, I believe, even more than the Syracuse game. You know, when you look at it deeply, LSU lost that ball control, which, like I said before, that helped their defense so much, being able to control the ball and keep that defense fresh. They've lost that. Dylan Ux is a beast. That's in our game against them, he single-handedly tackled Bogey 7 times, and I hadn't seen anybody do that all season. So that guy is a beast. He's a thumper when he hits. My problem is LSU just lost that ball control, and that was the name of their game that ran their whole team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Ray got his dots back at the right time, but I've got some inside information when I make my pick.
Oh.
I sent Ray a oh my gosh, I was getting ready to say it and just lost the word. I sent Ray a
disco balls. Disco balls.
No. A compass. A compass.
Oh, a compass.
His play wristband, so he'll know which way to run.
A compass in his quarterback wristband. That's hilarious.
Yep. So I think he'll know which way to run this week, and I kind of want him to win it because I want him to have to sit on that toilet all next season when we do our show.
Oh, right. I mean,
so I'm picking Notre Dame.
It's kind of funny. Do you want to win the toilet bowl tournament, or do you not want to win the toilet bowl tournament? I mean, listen. Hey, a trophy's a trophy as far as I'm concerned. But
keep playing.
Gunny says he'll be right back. Stream Elements is downstairs.
Uh-oh.
All right.
No longer your BFF.
Apparently not. I guess I don't see Stream Elements knocking on my fucking door anymore. All right, Ray, you've got the last word on this game. I know you're going to pick your team, which you should. But what is it about Notre Dame now, all of a sudden, that you think they can beat this LSU team that was on such a terrible slide, but seemed to find themselves all of a sudden just a couple days ago?
So I actually went back in our school team admin channel just to make sure I had my facts correct.
Yeah.
When we first faced LSU back in week 8 and lost that 34-6, we ran such a terrible defense to stop Brute Bandit. And it wasn't even a me choice to run that defense. It was a Joseph Delaney choice at that moment. We ran a 3-3-5 against arguably one of the top running backs.
What?
To step foot on that field until he decided to go into a corn maze and get eaten up by a monster or get fucked by a flying spaghetti monster or some shit.
I just want to say for the record, 3-3-5 must have been a beast because you kept him under 300 yards.
I mean, yeah. But he also scored 2 touchdowns on us, and we scored only 6 points.
I mean, but your kicker was out of this fucking this world.
We also had the Ball State offensive playbook, as everybody knows now. As soon as I took over and after week 10 has passed and everything, I switched one of our playbooks out for the Oklahoma playbook. That's what we've been running ever since we've added it into our arsenal, and it seems like it's done better for our offense so far. Even with the interceptions that I will sometimes throw because fucking screens are fucking screens and revamped.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a better matchup than what you saw in week 8. Okay. I do think we are going to take the matchup because this time we are smart. We know what we're coming against. Even though Brute Bandit's not back there, I'm still looking at AACL Tear as Brute Bandit 2.0, even though he doesn't have the running strength or the speed to be Brute Bandit. I'm still focusing on those wide receivers. I still want this defense to pick their asses up, get back on that field. If they let one go, don't worry about it. Brush yourself off. Get right back on the next drive. Pick that son of a bitch off. Take it into the end zone. Because, my God, we are going to the fucking super duper toilet bowl, and we're going to do it in our last season as a fighting Irish. We are not going down without a fight. We're going to take some fucking tiger heads, and we're going to put them on our goddamn wall.
Woo! Woo!
I wish he felt a little stronger about that.
I do too. And not to burst your bubble, but AACL Nation gave you a big fat fucking middle finger. As a matter of fact, they gave you 37 middle fingers as they took LSU 37 to only 9 in the fucking pick'ems, bro.
I would like to point out to all those motherfuckers. They also went 29 with Miami against Miami last Tuesday. So big old middle finger right back to y'all.
There you go. Also, just a little side note, this could possibly be, and I forgot to mention it for the last game too, but this could possibly be the last game for Notre Dame in the AACL. The same thing goes for Missouri, as they will be moving to Washington, and Notre Dame will be moving to Boise State.
I will point out one more thing that you're overlooking.
Yeah.
We could get our very last Tiger versus Tiger game if LSU wins and Missouri wins.
Good call. Wow. Imagine that, dude. I can tell you right now, if that happens, I'm taking Missouri in that game. The fucking Tiger fucking
I'm taking
teams.
the Tigers.
I am definitely taking the Tigers. Frank Doom pointing out Ray already has the toilet bowl trophy. He wants to get the super duper toilet bowl trophy for the other bathroom.
The one trophy we have is white. It's got a little bit of brown specks all over it. The super duper one is apparently gold.
It is gold.
It still has that little bit of brown specks.
We actually stole it out of Elvis Presley's home in Palm Springs.
Oh shit! We get that. Oh yeah, we're definitely winning this entire thing. I'm gonna shit in that thing.
Now that you know, if you know, you know. All right, last thing.
They bring out the trophy. They just put it on the ground. I'm just like, all right, well, time to drop trousers.
That's it. So last thing. This is what I've decided. Justin says he's got Notre Dame 10.5 point favorites. You're out of your mind, Justin. Over under 40.5. I could probably see that. I think it's gonna be a little higher.
Yeah,
I would take the over on that, but there's no way that Notre Dame will be favored by 10.5. We have 4 minutes, so you each get 1 minute to tell me both of your picks. Because I think what I'm gonna do tomorrow night. I think an hour is a long time to just talk about one game, whatever. So I think tomorrow night we'll just jump on like 15 minutes early. We'll talk about what happened tonight. We'll talk about tomorrow night, and then that'll be it. So we won't do a big old show tomorrow night. So Ray, I'm gonna start with you real quick. You got 1 minute. You got 60 seconds to tell me who you're taking in the Penn State-Nebraska game and the Tennessee UNLV game tomorrow night.
Let's see. We got two high-powered offenses going against each other in the SSF Goals Good Night Now Bowl. Sponsored by the Whale Nexus, by the way. Yep. Both high-powered offenses, both coming off of impressive wins in the last week. It's kind of hard to go against Penn State, but you know what? I guess I'm a little bit of a Racy McHard.
A Racy McHard.
Racy McHard.
Because Racy McHard is math.
I'm choosing the Cornhuskers to upset #1 Penn State. And going against Tennessee and UNLV, man, this is a battle. This is a battle that could turn out either way. It's going to be a close matchup. I'm hoping it's going to overtime. Probably maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 overtimes. It's probably not going to be 8 overtimes. But ultimately, in the end, I'm going to choose the Running Rebels over good old Rocky Top.
Okay. Yogi, 60 seconds. Penn State, Nebraska, Tennessee, UNLV.
Yogi!
You're muted, bro. You're muted, bro. Uh-oh, we got to get one of these.
I'm muted. I'm all right. I was still trying to think of compass. But for a nominal fee, I will educate Nebraska on everything I did against Penn State so they can do the opposite.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm still afraid it's not enough. Penn State is just on a heater right now. You know, a guy throwing it the way he's throwing it, that defense, I think it's going to cause problems, and I don't think Brooke is going to get out of there with one interception. I'm going to have to go Penn State.
So
Tennessee. Okay,
yeah, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, and I was going to ask you about that game. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the Tennessee UNLV game, these are also two teams that are playing well in every aspect of the game. I just think Rodney Dangerfield is very hot right now, and he's going to get my vote to be the difference in that game. So
Ray thinks Nebraska and UNLV. You think Penn State and Tennessee. So you both took different teams.
Yep.
Keith, you get the last word, and you literally have probably less than 60 seconds. I mean, Nebraska already beat Nebraska already beat Penn State, but Frank Doom pointed out that both UNLV ran a different playbook against Tennessee, and I thought he put somewhere about Penn State, but I can't find. No, I can't find it. But what are your thoughts here? Penn State, Nebraska, Tennessee, UNLV. 30 seconds.
I think if there's two keys in this game, it's going to be Nebraska's offense being efficient again, like we were last night. If we can do that, we're going to put ourselves in a good spot, I think. I think the other thing is the turnover battle. Penn State has dominated most teams in the turnover battle, but they lost it against Nebraska in the regular season. I think if Nebraska can do both of those things, I think our boys have a really good chance to win that game. For Tennessee, UNLV, my key for that game would be Tennessee's defense. If you're going to beat UNLV, you have to stop their offense because they have been on a tear in the second half of the season. I think Tennessee's offense can be up and down at times. They're still pretty good, of course, but their defense has been the bigger question. They've been on a roll to finish the season. It's just a question of whether or not they can keep it up.
All right, so here's my take, and then we're off because we're at time right now. I'm going to tell you what I want, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. What I want is Nebraska, Tennessee, because I'm on Nebraska and I love Tennessee. That's pretty much it. What I think is going to happen is I think we're going to get 1 and 2. I think we're going to get Penn State and we're going to get UNLV, and we're going to have, and I think that'll be a great rematch from when UNLV dismantled Penn State a few weeks ago. So that's my take on that. It's my want versus my think.
What you want, what you really, really want.
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. What I really want is the clock to go backwards 1 minute so we can be all done at 8 o'clock. All right, here's the deal, folks. That's a wrap on this show. Tomorrow night, we're going to do like a 15-minute thing, and that'll be that. But I will see you back here in 30 minutes at the bottom of the hour at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for the first of our two games, Missouri and Syracuse. And then that will be followed by Notre Dame, LSU. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you in a little bit.